Hi, this is Melanie Lukosevic. I'm the executive editor of Capital Region Independent Media. We publish the Ravenna News Herald, the Greenville Pioneer, and a series of community guidebooks. I'm here with the Republican candidates for Coeymans Town Council, Stephen Schmitt, Marisa Tutay, and Highway Superintendent candidate Dan Baker. He's off camera right now, but he will be joining. There he is. Hi, Dan. Okay, well, we're going to start. We're going to go in alphabetical order, starting with the town council candidates. Stephen, if you could please give us your background and how you came to be in office.
Sure. So my name is Stephen Schmitt. I'm a paralegal. I work for the company that manages and operates the Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory. It's Flora Marine Propulsion. I work in general counsel's office up there. I've been a paralegal for 22 years, and I had served for the last 12 years on it was actually 8 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And then when the current administration came into place, they joined the boards. And so I've been on that board for 3 additional years. So it's been 11 years total. And I was the chairman of 9 of those 11 years of both the planning board and then the joint boards once it was joined. So March of this year, there was a resignation from the town board. And as a result, they reached out to me. The town board reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in being appointed. So currently, I am an appointed official on the town board and running for election in November.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Marisa, your background.
Yes. Well, I'm currently a math interventionist, curriculum content specialist at A.W. Becker Elementary School. This is my 33rd year teaching. Prior to coming to RCS, I did 12 and a half years in Guilderland, left there. I had 2 younger children and didn't want to have to, commute so far. So I ended up coming here and getting a job, which I've been thrilled to take on. Other than that, I do have some experience in politics. I served on the planning board. George approached me, excuse me, the planning board, zoning board of appeals. George approached me and asked me if I would be interested in being an alternate. And that quickly became a full-time position. And I actually worked with Stephen on there. And then when there was a vacancy on the town board, when Zach Collins was elected to the county legislature, they asked me if I would be willing to take on the role of being on the board, and I wholeheartedly agreed, and I'm glad to be here.
Terrific. Dan Baker, if you could just tell us, he's running for highway superintendent. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. My name is Danny Baker. I've been a lifelong resident here in the town of Coeymans in Village of Ravenna, born and raised in Alcove, New York. Went to school here. I'm currently married. My wife is an RN case manager, works at Sunnyview Hospital in Schenectady. I have 2 children, a daughter who's 14 and my son who is 11, who both attend Ravenna schools. I've worked in manufacturing my whole life on the maintenance side of things. I was at Lafarge for 20 years as a millwright, and then I transitioned over to maintenance supervisor. I was in pharmaceutical maintenance for a while. I was also in mattress manufacturing for a while. And it's very unfortunate. The previous highway superintendent fell ill this year. And when he resigned, I was asked by the board to take and fill that seat. And I was appointed to highway superintendent. And then I'm, currently running for that seat. And I want to keep that seat.
Okay, terrific. While we were speaking, Warren Dews Jr., who is our publisher and vice president, joined us. Welcome, Warren. Okay.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Hey, Warren. How are you?
Hi, Warren.
Starting with Stephen again, if we could talk about the top challenges and opportunities that are facing Coeymans and how you might address them.
So right now, with it being budget season, the top challenges that I see are the inflation rate and the rising energy costs. Inflation is the highest it's been in many, many, many years. It was 8.2% for 12 months that ended September 2022. So that compounded with the energy costs, electric, gas, diesel, fuel, a lot of what we do to maintain the town, the roads, and everything else runs on fuel. So when you have the inflation and the rising energy costs, and you're trying to deal with the budget, you're trying to figure out how you can make it work for everyone. So that's, in my opinion, that's one of our top challenges right now that we're dealing with. We're getting through the budget process, and we're doing it in a way that doesn't affect taxpayers' money too much. So that's the top priority. The other challenge that I see is programs for children, especially during the summertime. We do currently have summer programs for the children. We're trying to get together and figure out how we can strengthen those programs, how we can make them better for not only the students but the town of Coeymans. We're trying to get high school individuals involved more as chaperones for the programs, but also I would like to see high schoolers start coming to our meetings more than what we have. My son is 13. He's in the middle school. He's not in the high school yet. Since I've been on the board, he's been really active and watching and participating behind the scenes with what I'm doing. He's expressed interest in running for student council. So I think as children get older, especially when you get into high school, I think that would give them an avenue to come and really start getting some information with regards to politics, town government, how it's ran. Because quite frankly, before I got on the zoning board of appeals, I had no idea what it took to run a town or a village or a city. So I think if high school students would get involved earlier, I think it would be good, for the town of Coeymans and for the high schoolers.
Okay, Marisa, challenges and opportunities?
Well, I have to say that I think Coeymans has had a tremendous amount of opportunities that go down to, first off, providing the broadband service with using the ARPA funds. We've been able to extend that to people that were in underserved areas. We've had an increase in business and growth in the town through the industrial park and the Port of Coeymans. That's been really, I think, a feather in Coeymans' cap. We have the creation of the Albany County Sheriff's Substation, which has lowered crime rates here in the town. I know that, and speaking with Sheriff Apple, Supervisor McHugh said that we have the lowest, if not one of the lowest, if not the lowest crime rate in Albany County. So that, I think, has been a great opportunity for us. I think that as we go forward, we've updated the comprehensive plan and tried to make that something that we can be really proud of and get us through to the future. So those are all opportunities, incoming opportunities that I think we have would be the offshore wind project. And the fact that we have gone and made that something that we can be proud of and bringing in those other companies. I do know that there has been meetings between Carver at the port and Supervisor McHugh, where there's other countries trying to come in and work through the Port of Coeymans, and they want to know if we're going to be business friendly for a business friendly community. And so that all coming together does create some great opportunities for growth in the town. I do think that as we have challenges, they can always be overcome if we all work together and we keep open lines of communication to address the concerns that everyone has, whether it be residents or other municipalities. So I think that that's very important as well. One of the things that I do think Stephen is correct on, and that probably our biggest challenge, is with the rate of inflation, which I believe now is somewhere close to 9%. We want to keep taxes down as low as we can for the people that live here, because inflation is killing all of us. As he stated, the gas prices, the increase in costs to run and maintain the different departments within the town government. That is kind of our biggest challenge, I would say, at this point. But I really feel that working together with the community and with the other members of the board, that we can overcome that and create something that is going to work for everyone. The other thing that Stephen did mention too, which I know Councilwoman Bruno and I have discussed is creating some programs for the younger generation, the younger children, not only during the summer, which we already have programs for, but also during the school year, and finding some different activities that we can institute for them, to help them be a bigger part of the community as well. I think Stephen's idea of having them come to the meetings, and I know they did it in the past, I think is a wonderful way to get high school students more involved in their government and in their community. So I think all of those things together really promise a great future for the town.
Okay, Dan, with regard to the highway department, what are some of the opportunities that you think we might have to improve the infrastructure?
Well, first thing I wanted to answer was, what's some of the biggest challenges that Coeymans faces? And one of my pet peeves is the local truck traffic on Main Street, right? It's increased quite a bit in the last few years. And I think working with Lafarge, working with Carver, Lafarge is trying to make an access road to come out on Route 101 to try to limit some of the traffic down through town. And I really think that's what is needed to really get some of the businesses and making it a little more walkable, a little bit more friendly as far as the Main Street corridor is concerned. Some of the challenges with the highway department, the increase in diesel fuel, the increase in gasoline, the overall increase in sometimes availability with the parts, all of that stuff sometimes can present challenging situations for the highway group. Things break all the time. We're constantly sourcing things. Our usage has been up this year. We're doing a lot of work. We're cleaning a lot of roads. So we have to be mindful of what we do, how we do, when we spend. Because again, I'm working off of a budget from the past administration. So I think, and again, this board won't give me everything I ask for. So we have to be mindful, right? And have to have a budget that works so that we can continue to work, but also I can't raise that, that level to where it's just not truly reasonable. Okay.
Terrific. Now, there are going to be 2 referendums on the ballot on November 8th when people vote. Stephen, could you talk about the town hall project and where you stand on that? If you think that's a reasonable proposal that the voters should vote for?
Sure. So I'm in favor of a new town hall. As I know, everybody's aware, I voted for the bond resolution initially. That is up for referendum. I think that's a good thing if that's what the public wanted, which it seems like that's what they wanted. But the town hall that we currently have, it's aged, it's outdated, and it's totally inadequate. It's not ADA compliant. It's not OCA compliant. It has mold issues. Given all of those factors, it just makes sense to build a new town hall, a town hall that would be state of the art and which will be legally compliant in all respects and will satisfy the needs of our residents today and for decades to come. I think, we had an instance, and we've talked about this a lot. We had an instance a month or 2 ago where a woman who was in a wheelchair, who required, ADA standards be in place. She was a person here for the Justice Court. She had to use the restroom. She was unable to use the restroom here at our facility because her wheelchair would not fit in the restroom, and subsequently had to leave the building and go to Cumberland Farms to use the restroom and then come back and finish her court appearance. To me, that's totally unacceptable. Recently we found out that there are mold issues now in the basement that, have to be taken into account and rectified. So that's why I'm in favor of a new town hall.
Okay, Marisa, your position on the issue of the town hall?
Well, I totally concur with Stephen. Initially, I'll be very honest with you, I kind of wondered, is this something we really need right now? But in looking at all of those issues that Stephen brought up, the mold, the being ADA, not being in compliance with the ADA, and that whole incident where that poor woman came here for court and had to leave and go somewhere else. I mean, that just, as Stephen said, that's totally not acceptable. I mean, this is a public building, and people who from all walks of life, regardless of what their limitations may be, should be able to use this and not have to do something like that. So that being said, I really think all of those things together, and the fact that we already have to mitigate a mold issue, adds to the need for something new. We don't want our employees working in a dangerous environment. For some people, people may say, oh, well, for some people, mold isn't such a big deal, but for a lot of people, it can be, and it can be very dangerous to your health. So I think all those things combined really stand to me that we definitely do need a new project, or excuse me, a new town hall, and to put forth a project that can meet the needs now and in the future.
Okay, Dan, would you like to comment on that?
So yeah, again, I'm also in favor of a new town hall. The building is aging, right? It's no secret. It's got to be 80 plus years old. The infrastructure is aging as well. We replaced the heating, we replaced the air conditioning. Everybody knows that the steps out front are in very poor shape. We put some money into them to try to, keep them going. Everything that we do here is, we feel like we're putting good money into an old building. We're busting at the seams here. We're running out of room. If you go down in the basement where the building inspector, the assessor, the police departments are, it's like literally walking through a dungeon. It's the oddest thing I've ever seen. Now we have the mold issue. I believe it's time, right? We've had some public input. People are very concerned, and we appreciate and we take the concern very seriously about the cost. We don't know what the future is going to bring, right? We don't know if the prices are ever going to come back down. We don't really know that. But the building is very rough. The building is aged, and we want something that we could be proud of for the town of Coeymans, for the people. And that's another reason we want to show something that we're very proud of.
Okay. The other referendum on the ballot will be about extending the town supervisor's term from 4 years. From 2 years to 4 years. So extending it by an additional 2 years. Stephen, where do you stand on that?
So I'm in favor of extending the town supervisor's term to 4 years. Most, if not all, of the elected positions in Albany County are all 4-year terms. The Albany County Legislature is a 4-year term. The Albany County Sheriff is a 4-year term. The Albany County Executive is a 4-year term. The Village of Ravenna Mayor is a 4-year term. The village trustees are 4-year terms, and the town council are all 4-year terms. To me, there's no reason why the town supervisor shouldn't be a 4-year term. I think it makes sense from a fiscal standpoint. So if you have a 2-year term and the new administration comes in, the new supervisor comes in, he's now working off of a budget that wasn't created by him. And he now has to do what he can with that budget. So he gets through that year. He creates a budget with him and his town council, or her and her town council. And they're going through the next year, and then they start the campaign season in May or June of that year. To me, it's just from all of the thoughts and research that I've done about 4-year terms and 2-year terms, it just makes sense to be a 4-year term.
Okay, Marisa?
I'm kind of piggybacking on what Stephen has said, but I also think that, when you're trying to do the work of the people, and you're trying to create programs and work with your town board to continue growth and prosper, when you have to stop that, or you're kind of torn in two different directions, you're trying to maintain the programs and build upon them, and then you have to stop and go for re-election. I think it kind of stunts what you're trying to do, and it kind of interrupts it. And I think that by having that 4-year term, it's going to allow you to kind of get, not only develop your own budget, but to work within that budget to continue to move the town forward. And I think when you once you do that, once you have to split that, it does kind of put a damper on what you're trying to accomplish. And again, as Stephen said, every other office has a 4-year term. I mean, from the president straight on down. So I don't understand. I never understood why it wasn't a 4-year term. And that goes back many years when I found out it was a 2-year term. So moving forward, I think it makes sense from a fiscal standpoint and from a working standpoint.
Okay, Dan, you are deputy town supervisor, so I was wondering if you would like to have input on that.
Yeah, again, so I echo pretty much what both Steve and Marisa have said. I was the one who actually read the resolution proposing this change, and I did some research on it. Town of Colony, they have it on the ballot this year as well. Like Steve said, all of Albany County government, all of Ravenna government, all of Coeymans government, everybody is a 4-year term except the town supervisor. I think Town of Bethlehem, David Van Leuven is a 2-year term, and New Scotland may be a 2-year term. I just think that it just rolls in concert with the board. I think the board is able to work better with that supervisor if it's a 4-year term. And again, I look at the Village of Ravenna. That government seems to work fine with it. I don't really see any issues. So again, I support it. I think it should be changed to 4 years.
Okay, we only have a couple minutes left.
Okay.
So very briefly, Stephen, if you could talk very briefly about the relations between the town and village. There has been some friction there. How would you look to improve that going forward?
So I've said, and it's no secret since I've been on this board, and even before I took my oath, when the town board had reached out to me and asked me about the relationship, to me, it's important. It's important that we work together. It's important that we try to get on the same page. It's something that I've expressed interest in trying to navigate and try to make that happen. We do currently share services, our highway department and their, I think it's Department of Works or something.
DPW.
Their DPW department. They do share services. There are times when the village needs some help and asks us for help and vice versa. So I think on some level right now, we do currently share services. Going forward, I think there are two big proponents or two big things that we really need to make happen. One is communication. There has to be better communication between the town and the village. The other is trust. There has to be some level of trust between each municipality in order for the relationship to work. Without that, the relationship, in my opinion, isn't going to work. If you don't have those two things, it's not going to work. And I'll just leave you with a quote that I have found dealing with this relationship. And the quote is, "Instead of staying stuck in the past, commit together to build something new." And I think that's important for everyone to hear.
Okay, we are just about out of time. So Marisa, if you would like to comment on relations between the town and the village.
Sure. I think, first of all, I think that's key to continued success within the town and the village both. And as Stephen said, I think he's right. Communication and trust are key elements to doing that. I think, we've kind of started to move that way. We have members of the village board who are working with us on the 350th celebration for the town's birthday. And we, both Stephen and I and Dan, participated in the Friendship Festival. So I think that we're starting to move in the right direction. I do think it's imperative that we work together. That's been one of the things that from the very beginning, and I think I spoke to you about this when you first interviewed me back in January, was that I think that that's really what we need to do, because, united we stand. And I think the more united we are, the taller we can stand, both the village and the town. So that's really what I would like to see happen, and to continue to work together to do a variety of things, from the sidewalk work and the sharing of the DPW services, just to continue to move forward from that.
Okay, Dan, we are out of time, but if you want 15 seconds.
Yeah, no, again, we share services with the Village of Ravenna and Henry Traver. And again, we're going to continue to do that. And I believe in working together for both Town of Coeymans and the Village of Ravenna. And I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure that it works.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
These were the Republican candidates for Coeymans Town Council and Highway Superintendent. Thank you for joining us. Election Day will be November 8th, so everyone go out and vote. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, go out and vote. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Melanie.